Imagine this. 1 year from today, you look back and barely recognize yourself. You've built the business, mastered the skill, written the book, transformed your health, deepened your relationship. Not because you overhauled your life overnight, but because every day you gave yourself just 1 hour. That's it. One focused hour. The truth is, the difference between who you are now and who you dream of becoming isn't some grand event. It's what you do in the time no one else is watching. And that time, you already have it. So if you've ever said, "I don't have time," this message is for you. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, or overwhelmed, stay with me, because the answer isn't in more hours. It's in what you do with one hour, 60 minutes, 3,600 seconds. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But in the hands of someone who understands its power, 1 hour can shape a destiny. The truth is, we underestimate what we can do with a single hour when we approach it with absolute focus, purpose, and intention. We live in a world obsessed with speed, multitasking, and overnight success stories. But lasting change doesn't come from chaotic bursts. It comes from steady, intentional effort repeated over time. 1 hour a day, when used wisely, is not just a part of your day. It is the seed of your transformation. Think of it like this. If you dedicate 1 hour a day to something meaningful, reading, writing, studying, working out, learning a new skill, you're giving yourself 365 concentrated hours a year. That's over 9 full-time work weeks. Imagine what you could accomplish with 9 weeks dedicated solely to personal growth or a single goal. That's more time than most people dedicate to their biggest dreams in a lifetime. It's not the duration, it's the direction. 1 hour of targeted action will always beat a vague intention to do more someday. The real challenge isn't the amount of time you have, it's what you believe about that time. Most people don't realize they're sitting on the most powerful resource they could ever need. They think they need more time, more resources, more clarity, but the truth is, they need a shift in perspective. 1 hour a day is enough to write a book in a year. It's enough to get in shape, build a business, or learn a new language. You don't need 24 hours. You just need one where you show up fully and refuse to waste it. That 1 hour is sacred. It's where the old version of you begins to fade and the new version takes form. The hour when you work while others make excuses. The hour where you move while others scroll. The hour where you grow while others sleep. That's not just time, that's transformation in motion. We often wait for the right time, the perfect plan, or the ideal conditions. But 1 hour a day ignores all of that noise. It says, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. The results don't come immediately, but over time, they stack. They compound. They evolve. And one day you look back and realize that 1 hour you almost didn't take, it was the one that changed everything. We're conditioned to believe that success requires monumental effort, massive leaps, and total life overhauls. But that's a myth. The truth is, real progress is born from consistent small efforts, especially the ones no one sees. 1 hour a day, quietly invested, has more power than most people realize. You don't need to sprint a marathon every single day. You just need to show up, again and again, in that one focused hour. There's something magical about consistency. Think about the drops of water that carve through rock, not with force, but with persistence. That's what 1 hour a day does. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't look dramatic. But day after day, it builds a rhythm, a habit, a foundation, and eventually a result. That result may be invisible in the beginning. You might not feel different after the first day, the first week, or even the first month. But if you keep showing up, 1 hour a day becomes your quiet revolution. 1 hour reading each day, and you'll outlearn 95% of the people around you within a year. 1 hour working on your craft each day, and you'll separate yourself from the pack. 1 hour a day toward your side hustle, and a year later, you might not need your 9 to 5. 1 hour a day in the gym, and soon the mirror will reflect discipline, not just effort. It's not about intensity, it's about identity. Every hour shapes who you are becoming. The mind resists small beginnings because we're trained to crave immediate results. But the person who embraces the long game, who values momentum over speed, becomes unstoppable. Think of a tree. You don't see the roots growing, but that's where the strength comes from. Your 1 hour a day is where your roots are forming deep, strong, and grounded. And one day, the world sees the tree, but you'll know it was grown in the dark, quiet hours. No one else noticed. And here's the best part: you don't have to be exceptional to start. You don't need to have the best tools, the perfect schedule, or all the answers. You only need the willingness to commit. Because small efforts repeated consistently always beat big efforts made occasionally. It's the daily act of discipline, not the occasional act of motivation, that changes everything. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the size of your goals or the distance between where you are and where you want to be, remember this: the gap is closed 1 hour at a time. And that 1 hour, it's already within your reach. Time is the one thing we all have in equal measure. Every person, no matter their background, income, or status, gets 24 hours in a day. The difference is never in how much time we have, but in how we choose to spend it. The truth is, you already have the hour that could change your life. It's not hidden. It's not waiting for you in the future. It's already there, tucked between your morning routine and your nightly scroll, buried beneath distractions, excuses, and the illusion of busyness. What's missing isn't time, it's clarity. We often say, "I don't have time," but what we really mean is, it's not a priority. That simple shift in language is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. When you stop telling yourself the lie that you don't have time and start admitting that you've just chosen to spend your time elsewhere, things begin to change. Because now you're not a victim of your schedule, you're the author of it. You take back control. If you look closely at your day, you'll find it. That hour you spend scrolling, that hour lost to TV, to mindless conversations, to overthinking. No judgment, just honesty. What if you took just one of those hours and redirected it towards something that mattered, something that moved your life forward? You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. or cut sleep or neglect your family. You just need the beauty of that 1 hour is that it doesn't demand perfection. You don't need to do it at the same time every day. You don't need fancy tools, perfect conditions, or motivation that lasts forever. You just need to decide, this hour belongs to my growth. And once you start claiming it, everything shifts. You stop living reactively and you begin to live deliberately. We often wait for a big window of time to finally start our dreams, but that window rarely comes. Life keeps moving, obligations keep growing, and the perfect moment remains a fantasy. But 1 hour, that's manageable, that's real. You can find that. You have that. And once you prove to yourself that you can show up for that hour every day, your confidence grows. You start trusting yourself. That trust turns into momentum, and momentum creates change. So the question isn't whether you have the time. You do. The question is whether you'll use that time on purpose or let it slip away unnoticed, 1 hour at a time. We live in a world that glorifies hustle. We're told that if we're not grinding every waking moment, we're falling behind. But the truth is, success isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. That's why one focused hour a day, driven by purpose rather than pressure, is more powerful than an entire day spent reacting to distractions. You don't need to run yourself into the ground to move forward. You just need to show up with clarity and intention in that single hour. Purpose brings focus. When you know why you're using your hour, it stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like an opportunity. You're not forcing yourself to work. You're reminding yourself that this hour is yours. It's where you plant the seeds of your future. It doesn't matter whether your dream is to build a business, get in shape, write a novel, or master a new skill. When you approach that 1 hour with purpose, it becomes sacred. It's no longer something you have to do, it's something you get to do. And here's the part most people miss. It's not the number of hours you grind that changes your life. It's the energy and clarity you bring into the ones you choose to protect. That 1 hour carved out from a busy day becomes your daily anchor. It centers you. It reminds you that you are in control of your growth. It's not about being busy, it's about being aligned. One intentional hour can often accomplish more than an entire day lived on autopilot. You don't need pressure to fuel this hour. Pressure burns out, but purpose lasts. Purpose sustains you when motivation fades. It pushes you to show up when you're tired, to keep going when it feels slow, and to keep believing even before the results show. That's the difference between grinding for external validation and building from internal alignment. One leaves you drained, the other leaves you fulfilled. In a chaotic world that pulls your attention in 100 directions, this hour becomes your quiet rebellion. It's the time where you shut out the noise and tune in to what truly matters. It's where you stop living according to everyone else's expectations and start showing up for the future you believe in. This is not hustle culture. This is self-respect. It's choosing not to let your days be dictated by urgency, but guided by intention. So, no, you don't need to work harder. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do what matters for 1 hour every day. When that hour is driven by purpose, it's not just a block on your calendar. It's the space where transformation begins. Everyone dreams. Everyone imagines a better version of themselves, healthier, wealthier, wiser, more fulfilled. But the space between dreaming and doing is often where people get stuck. That space is filled with hesitation, fear, distractions, and 1,000 tiny reasons to postpone action. The truth is, dreams don't die because they're impossible. They die because they're neglected. 1 hour a day is how you keep your dreams alive. It's how you bridge that gap between vision and reality. Because in that hour, you stop imagining and start becoming. The mind loves to fantasize about the destination, the success, the recognition, the lifestyle. But it often resists the process. Why? Because the process feels slow. It feels invisible. It's not exciting to sit down and write for an hour when you haven't published a word yet. It's not glamorous to practice alone in your room, to study when no one's watching, or to show up at the gym without a dramatic transformation to flaunt. But that's the point. The dream only becomes real when you invest in it daily, even when it's quiet, even when it's small. 1 hour a day is your vote for who you're becoming. Progress doesn't shout. It whispers. And one day, after weeks or months of those quiet hours, you start to notice something. You think differently. You move differently. You carry quiet confidence not because the world applauded you, but because you showed up when no one else did. That's the shift. The dream is no longer just an idea, it's in motion. It has weight. It has direction. And more importantly, it has proof. Consistency turns belief into behavior. When you give your dream 1 hour a day, you're telling yourself, this matters, I matter. And once you start honoring your goals with time, your identity begins to change. You're no longer someone who wants to write, you're a writer. You're not someone thinking about getting in shape, you're already becoming fit. The hour you spend doing becomes the evidence you need to believe. That belief is fuel. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right time, for permission, for the fear to go away. But action is what makes the fear shrink. 1 hour a day pushes you forward, one decision at a time. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, but it's real. And real change doesn't need to be broadcasted, it just needs to be repeated. So if you're sitting on a dream, wondering when you'll finally be ready, the answer is simple. You'll be ready when you start. And you can start today. Just give it 1 hour. One focused, honest, purpose-filled hour. That's all it takes to move from dreaming to doing, and from who you are now to who you always meant to become. You don't need a new year, a new job, a miracle, or a breakthrough. You need an hour. One focused, intentional hour a day, given not to distraction, not to doubt, but to your future. That hour is the difference between staying stuck and stepping forward, between repeating the past and rewriting your story. It's not a question of time, it's a question of choice. What will you do with the hour you already have? Because the truth is, 1 hour a day won't just change your schedule, it will change your habits, your mindset, your results, and ultimately, your life. The clock is already ticking. Now is the time to claim that hour, commit to it, and begin. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Because your future doesn't wait. It's built 1 hour at a time.